Pseudo-Legendaries. This is a fan term used to describe Pokemon with 3-stage evolutionary families who take a lot of experience to level up and have a final base stat total of exactly 600. Hence the pseudo, as their stats are closely comparable to that of legendaries, making them some of the strongest non-legendary Pokemon in the game, and often used by prominent fighters in each generation. Many of them are big faces in the community and advertising, and they're pretty much all fan favorites, but people definitely tend to lean much heavier on some more than others. There's almost always a single pseudo family per generation, so there's a good amount of pressure for them to live up to expectations, and I'm happy to say Game Freak's consistently done a great job with them. Pseudo-Legendaries didn't used to be so formulaic in the older generations. Gen 1 had the first ever Dragon family, but Gen 2, although dragon looking in appearance, was a rock type family. Gen 3 spiced things up even more with 2 pseudo-legendary families, your traditional dragon group, and a completely original computerized Pokemon. Sadly, things have stayed on a pretty narrow track since then, with every pseudo line since being a 3-stage dragon-type family. And it's just kind of a shame. I know they like to save their powerful dragons for the pseudo slot, but nothing says they only have to make one pseudo-legendary line, and it'd be pretty awesome if what we got was much more unexpected each generation. How cool would it be if every gen went for a completely different type of pseudo altogether? But I digress. Today we're looking at the first 3 pseudo families, so I hope you like dragons. Let's get started. Dratini, the dragon Pokemon. Dratini is a rare, serpent-like creature who lives underwater. Despite being the first dragon-type Pokemon, it's not easily conveyed as one. Its name comes from dragon and tiny. Dratini has been called the Mirage Pokemon due to its rarity and was long considered a myth until a fisherman caught one after a 10-hour struggle. It lives a quiet life in small underwater colonies, usually by strongly flowing waterfalls. The small lump on its forehead is a horn that's starting to grow in. Dratini is weak, so it lurks on the floors of bodies of water, eating food that sinks to the bottom and storing a lot of life energy. When this energy builds to uncontrollable levels, Dratini will shed its skin, a process that happens almost daily and under the protection of a rapid waterfall. It's notably large, even when born, exceeding 6.5 feet and growing longer as it continually molts. The cast-off skin is very soft and can even be tanned to make a luxurious pair of boots. Okay, so Dratini is unbelievably adorable, easily one of the cutest Pokemon in the series. Its expressive and innocent eyes make for a creature you just want to protect from any and all dangers. The fact that it doesn't have a traditional mouth accentuates its appeal even more. It's also a really sleek look, with cool head fins and a pleasant coloration. Its large size tends to catch people off guard too, but I love that about it. It really is a sea serpent of sorts. I will say, it's a strange choice for the first dragon-type design. You'd think it would be something, well, more akin to what we get these days. Dratini's also an early example of a Pokemon who lives in bodies of water but isn't a water type, which makes sense and fits it well. Shiny Dratini is quite a lovely shade of pink, and honestly is an excellent shiny variant. It's different but looks natural and pops. Dratini evolves into Dragonair, the dragon Pokemon. Now much larger, Dragonair doesn't look too different from the diminutive Dratini, but has traded its childlike disposition for one of grace and beauty. Dragonair's name comes from dragon and air. Dragonair has been called the divine Pokemon, enshrouding itself in a strange yet gentle aura and gaining a profoundly mystical appearance. When it emits this aura, Dragonair will instantly manipulate the climate and weather in its vicinity, allowing it to ride the wind and fly freely. This power comes from discharging energy it stores and gathers inside the crystalline orbs on its neck and tail. It lives in pristine lakes and oceans, where offerings can be found since time immemorial from agriculturalists who revere its divine power. It's been said that seeing a Dragonair dancing through the sky at the start of a new year promises good health all year long. So I said Dratini is one of the cutest Pokemon, and awesomely, Dragonair continues this trend as one of the most beautiful Pokemon in the series. Look at this gorgeous creature. Its even more elongated body emanates serenity and elegance. The new crystal orbs that don its neck and tail are perfect accentuations to its simple form. All of these design elements complement one another splendidly, with its majestic new wings being the final cherry on top. Beyond all that, its abilities are freaking cool. Changing the weather and riding the wind? That's so inspiring inspired and unique, especially for a Gen 1 Pokemon. Dragonair is really good. I have nothing negative to say about it, and it is easily one of the best middle stage Pokemon. Shiny Dragonair is unsurprisingly another adorable shade of pink, which looks wonderful. The orbs are a bit of a loud contrast, but they kinda work. Dragonair evolves into Dragonite, the dragon Pokemon. Taking on a completely different form, Dragonite far more resembles the traditional fairy tale idea of a dragon that its previous forms did. This is one of the most jarring evolutionary changes in the franchise, and certainly can be hit or miss depending on your tastes and expectations. Dragonite's name comes from dragon and knight. Dragonite is an extremely rare marine Pokemon, occasionally seen flying through raging storms and immense seas effortlessly, leading to many nicknames such as the Sea Guardian and the Sea Incarnate. Its kind-hearted nature is evident from its dedication in saving drowning people and Pokemon, as well as guiding lost ships through fearsome waves and storms. Dragonite's flying ability is impressive considering its bulky physique, even being able to fly around the entire planet in 16 hours. Its intelligence is said to match that of a human's, and it's often used as a figurehead on the bows of ships. Despite its warm-hearted heroics, Dragonite can be impossibly wrathful if angered, smashing everything to pieces before it will be satisfied. It's also said that somewhere in the vast ocean, there's an island paradise where only Dragonite live. Alright, let's hit this head on. Dragonite looks completely different from Dragonair, and expectedly, a lot of people don't like that. How I feel about Dragonair is how a lot of people feel about Dragonair, and to trade that for something so absent of everything that made that design what it was, will obviously frustrate a lot of Dragonair fans. This kind of dramatic change in evolution doesn't happen too often in Pokemon, but when it does, it definitely stands out. Even so, Dragonite has a ton of fans. He's the first real, fully evolved dragon Pokemon in the series after all, and is quite an iconic Pokemon, even for Gen 1. And well, I love him. He's one of my favorite Dragon-type Pokemon. I like his warm and sweet vibe. He just seems like the nicest and cutest little dragon, but also one that can really kick ass in battle. That's a great combo, and he nails the fairy tale vibe perfectly. This is a good looking color palette too, with an enchanting shade of green playing delightfully with the orange. It's also a very clean design. A straightforward expression, two simple antennae and wings, a tiny horn, and the overall doughy form make for an instantly classic appearance, remarkably fitting for the first dragon Pokemon. I sympathize with Dragonair fans bummed out by the direction this went, and hope that a Pokemon to suit their need comes in the future. Maybe it already has for a lot of them, but I'm damn happy to have Dragonite along for the ride. I've gotta say, it's pretty unbelievable Dragonite has not gotten any kind of special form or attention over the franchise's years, and is probably the most famous Gen 1 Pokemon to be untouched. It's likely for the best. Shiny Dragonite is... this one's kind of hard. I kind of like the shade of green, but it's also kind of... It does work well with the new color of the wings, and inspires more fantasy dragon impressions, but I don't know. You know what, it's alright. Kind of appealing, but I wouldn't choose it over the regular version. And that's the Dratini family, which I gotta say is a 10 out of 10 evolutionary line. I love all three of these Pokemon for different reasons, so we probably peaked early. Let's move on to Gen 2. Larvitar, the rock skin Pokemon. Larvitar is a small, green, rock-like creature who lives in the mountains. Larvitar's name comes from larva. Larvitar is born deep underground, where it must eat through the nutritious surrounding soil to finally reach the surface and see its parents. It doesn't like the bright light of above ground. After it's eaten enough dirt to roughly equal a mountain's worth, whatever kind of scale that is, it will fall asleep and become a pupa to grow. Larvitar is quite a cute little Pokemon, and also a pretty original design. He's got some cool eyes for one, and the red diamond pattern on his torso makes him pretty easy to identify. The frayed, pinecone-like tail is also an attractive design element. And yeah, Larvitar. Look, Larvitar's not giving me anything to work with. He's cute and that's it. What do you want? I would say there's something specifically appealing about him, and I think it's his attitude and stubby little arms. The backstory of digging its way above ground is also quite endearing. Despite the average appearance, he's awfully likable, and I'm pretty happy whenever I see one. Shiny Larvitar has a nice deep coloration of the standard palette. Although not too different, it looks great and sells the cave-dwelling mountain runt aesthetic excellently. Larvitar evolves into Pupitar, the hard shell Pokemon. Pupitar is a pretty creative continuation of the Larvitar line, becoming encased in a thick rock shell like a cocoon. Pupitar's name comes from pupa. Pupitar is outstandingly durable, with a shell as hard as bedrock and strong enough to withstand damage even when colliding with solid steel. Even though a pupa, it can still move freely while its body gradually forms within, already developing limbs under its solid shell. Pupitar can be troublesome due to its impatience to fully evolve, releasing its stress by ejecting a highly pressurized gas created within to propel itself wildly like a jet. When thrashing around, it's incredibly fast and destructive, even able to topple an entire mountain? I always had a thing for Pupitar's design. It's just so creative and cool. Its unique shape and spiky protrusions envision the massive evolution in its future. It's a lot bigger than you'd think too, at almost 4 feet tall. Plus, Pupitar is just fun to say. Destroying mountains is a pretty unnecessary exaggeration, but this thing would definitely kill people upon collision. An above average middle stage Pokemon for sure. Shiny Pupitar is a dark shade of purple, and I feel like on all accounts I should like the way this looks, but it's only kind of okay. It's a nice shade, it just doesn't really look fitting on Pupitar for some reason. At least it's distinct. Pupitar evolves into Tyranitar, the armor Pokemon. Now wearing the dark typing, Tyranitar is a ferocious and sturdy beast of a pseudo-legendary. It's often called the Godzilla of Pokemon and is similar in form and color. Tyranitar's name comes from tyrant. Tyranitar is extremely strong, with a body that can't be harmed from any sort of attack. Yeah, okay. It's so powerful it can shake the earth just by walking, and will crumble entire mountains to make its nest. When enraged, it can change the landscape so much that rivers are buried and terrain is permanently altered, requiring maps to be redrawn. Tyranitar doesn't care about others due to its insolent disposition, wandering the mountains eagerly seeking strong opponents to battle. If it finds an adversary unworthy of its challenge, it will ignore it and continue on. Gen 2 doesn't have a lot of aggressive designs, so Tyranitar stands out quite a bit. He is a very popular Pokemon, and it's easy to see why. A titanic, savage dinosaur-like creature with awesome spikes and a powerful stature. He's practically made to appeal to anyone who likes cool things. I like Tyranitar. I do, but he's not really anything special to me. I've used him before, he's a great Pokemon in battle, and I do appreciate his design, but there's just something kind of boring about it. The green coloration is really comfortable and fitting at least, and I love how you can see the impression of Pupitar's form in his body. It's important to have Pokemon like this. It really is excellent creature design, while not one I'm personally attached to. Shiny Tyranitar doesn't look that nice. It's not too bad, just a step down from the standard colors. Great touch with the purple from Pupitar's shiny though. Tyranitar is one of the most beloved pseudo-legendaries, so it's perhaps unsurprising that he got a mega evolution. And woof. I see we're continuing the trend of noisy over-designing with megas. I will say I like how the spikes and tail have elongated, almost like tree branches. Gives it kind of an eldritch edge that I appreciate, but it's fairly dumb looking overall, particularly the face and eyes on its torso. It's kind of a mess, but far from the most appalling mega. And that's the Larvitar family. Although not one of my personal picks, it's incredibly solid with every member leaving a strong impression. A much more natural evolutionary change from first to final too. Now let's move to the last family for today, one of 2 from Generation 3. Bagon, the Rockhead Pokemon. Bagon is a small, rather typical-looking blue dragon with a sleek head and small appendages. Bagon's name comes from baby and dragon. Bagon endlessly dreams of flying high in the sky, so much so that it will hopefully leap off cliffs daily in practice. As a result of these continuous dives, Bagon's head has grown incredibly tough, like iron, and combined with its well-developed neck muscles, is hard enough to shatter entire boulders to pebbles from a single headbutt. It will become envious of bird Pokemon it sees in flight, smashing its surroundings in frustration over its own inability to fly. Bagon is a solitary Pokemon that doesn't form groups with others of its kind, and although it's small, its body is very strong due to being all muscle. Some theories suggest that when Bagon forcefully bashes its head into things, it stimulates its cells to affect its evolution, with it even being said that Bagon's own belief in one day being able to fly influences its own genetic information. What a great story to develop and add compelling elements to such a simple dragon Pokemon. This is something the designers are really talented at. And he's pretty dang cute, especially the tiny nub arms. Bagon and its evolutionary family are the first real conventional and direct dragon-type Pokemon, so Bagon's not going to be challenging anyone's expectations. He's a great start to a standard line, and especially endearing with such big dreams. Shiny Bagon is, oh, this is a great recolor. What an attractive shade of green. This is a striking and fresh new look. Solid thumbs up for this little guy. Bagon evolves into Shelgon, the Endurance Pokemon. Encasing itself in a bulky shell, Shelgon isn't immediately recognizable as a relative of Bagon, and is similar to Pupitar's idea, though much more creature-like. Shelgon's name comes from shell and dragon. Shelgon is sluggish, encased in an extremely heavy shell made of bone that repels enemy attacks. Inside its rugged, armor-like casing, Shelgon's cells are rapidly transforming to create an entirely new body. Once it's accumulated enough power and all of its energy reserves have been used up, its shell peels off and it starts to evolve. Shelgon hides deep within caverns, motionlessly awaiting evolution and dreaming of one day flying in the sky. It doesn't consume any food or water while waiting, becoming hardier by withstanding the hunger, and it's unknown why it doesn't perish in the process. Shelgon's adorable little stress ball of a body is too freaking cute, largely bolstered by its angsty little face and nubby legs. Although its shell is made of bone, I just can't stop imagining it being soft and squishy. The gray body and red markings on its legs look great together. It's a clean design, and I always appreciate a middle stage with a clear focus on how the Pokemon is growing. Shiny Shelgon is green, like shiny Bagon, but looks much worse, almost like it's been stained in minty toothpaste. It's too similar to the regular color palette, and just feels like a cheap shiny with that shading thrown over it. Shelgon evolves into Salamence, the dragon Pokemon. Salamence is a sharp-looking blue and red dragon, finally adopting the long-desired ability to fly with massive and sleek wings. Its aerodynamic design and dangerous nature make it the first real customary fully evolved dragon-type Pokemon. Salamence's name comes from salamander and violence. Salamence is the result of many long years of heartfelt dreaming and wishing to fly. The very desire for flight caused a cellular mutation, blessing it with a magnificent pair of wings. Salamence expresses this newfound happiness by soaring and wheeling all over the sky, gushing hot flames from its mouth and burning up fields until it exhausts itself. While gliding through the air keeps it in high spirits, if Salamence is angered, it will quickly become an uncontrollable menace, losing all sense of itself and rampaging, shredding everything around it with its claws and scorching the fields and mountains. It won't stop until it's tired itself out. Farmers must love Salamence. By Gen 3, a Pokemon with this kind of design has been a long time coming. A large, four-legged, fire-breathing, flying dragon that looks menacing and violent. This kind of tried-and-true formula has to come sooner or later, and Salamence plays the role very well. However, I don't really like it. The blue and red colors are awfully striking together, and there are some nice aspects to the design, such as the sharp claws and long tail, but its personality, flat, cardboard cutout wings, and overall lame-looking form isn't very impressive. Maybe Salamence is just too traditional in its design? I don't think that's entirely it. Dragonite is another long-established kind of dragon, and he's great, and is also really simple. I guess Salamence isn't for me, but I recognize the value of his presence and insist that he has a well-crafted and thematically appropriate look. A pseudo-legendary like this was inevitable, and happily he does have a lot of fans. Shiny Salamence is certainly a step up from Shelgon's, but that's some shade of green they chose for it, and combined with that orange? Yeesh. Now we gotta look at this thing. Mega Salamence is so stupid looking. I get it. He's supposed to be super aerodynamic now by tucking his arms in and having a razor-sharp wingspan, but he looks dumb as hell. This is another design that'll do it for the right person, but I'm not one of them, and honestly, this is probably one of the worst looking Mega Evolutions. Okay, there's definitely worse, trust me, but Croissant Roll Salamence is probably top 10. I suppose one interesting thing about it is apparently while flying, anything that gets in its way will be sliced clean in two, and has been dubbed the blood-soaked crescent as a result. That's pretty cool, and surprisingly graphic for Pokemon, but it doesn't save him. He still looks like a doof, and that's the Bagon family, finally serving up dragons after a very meager showing in the first two gens. It's not a bad family, it gets the job done. At least Gen 3 got 2 pseudos, that's something to look forward to. Pseudo-Legendaries are designed to give a feeling of power and rarity. We looked at the first third of the bunch, and while they're all classic Pokemon, they're pretty tame ideas at the end of the day. Even so, they play their roles accurately, and helped develop a solid starting point for the tradition. Of all the Pokemon we looked at today, Dratini, Dragonair, and Dragonite will be added to the board of my favorite Pokemon. That's the first time a whole evolutionary family's made it to the board, but it definitely won't be the last. Strange and odd Pokemon have always been my bread and butter, but I acknowledge how important tried and true designs are, and want as much variety in Pokemon as possible so all fans' particular tastes can be met. It's important to remember that cute Pokemon are cute, and every Pokemon is someone's favorite. Which of the Pokemon we looked at today are your favorite? As always, thank you for watching. If you liked my videos, subscribe for more Pokemon reviews.